Assistant Professor of Recreation, Tourism, and Sport Management, Tricia Day. You're joining us here in the Thomas D. Clark Reading Room of the Katie Murrell Library for Lindsey Wilson Conversations. And the way it works is you get to enjoy a beverage of your choice while we talk about something that is of interest to you. And you're joining us today with a cup of Pepsi.
Pepsi.
You teach recreation, you teach students to prepare for careers in the leisure industry in the United States. What is this status of leisure in the United States? Do Americans have more leisure time or less of it?
Well, there's a great deal of controversy in the industry about whether we have more or less leisure time. We have lots of time-saving devices and internet and computer and dishwashers and electric gadgets that help us with our everyday chores, but there's been a lot of back and forth about whether or not that actually provides us more leisure time, or then we just become slaves to the technology. So there isn't a great deal of consistency among people there in terms of whether or not we have more or less leisure time.
The tourism industry is one of the growth industries in Kentucky. How has that grown over the last few years, and what does it look to go in the future?
Well, tourism is actually the third largest industry in the state of Kentucky, and is growing by leaps and bounds. We've seen a lot of growth in the natural resources area because Kentucky has such a bounty of natural resources, and we want people to enjoy them and come and experience them. So we've had a lot of growth in our state parks, and many of them have gone to state resort parks, and those are places where you can eat and stay and recreate all in the same place, and you don't have to actually leave the park at dusk when it closes or something like that. So it's open much longer. And we've also seen a huge rise in ecotourism, adventure tourism, so people taking advantage of the natural resources and the opportunities that the natural resources provide us in terms of how and to what degree we can recreate and opportunities to do so. So it's definitely a growing industry in the state and nationally as well.
What does it say about tourism and recreation that it's become increasingly professionalized in the sense that people can now go to college to become tourism experts or recreation experts? Does that say anything about our culture or about our society to you?
Well, I think it recognizes that there's a unique skill set that it takes in terms of how to market an experience rather than marketing laundry detergent or a product that you can see and that you can touch. And so how do you convince people that the benefits of recreation are legitimate? And I think that that's all part of it, that we're recognizing that it does take a special skill set and a special understanding and a unique perspective on what it takes to do and to facilitate those types of experiences for people. And people come to recreation with different needs and different wants and different motivations, and understanding how all those play into whether or not they had a satisfying experience, I think, isn't something that you just pick up. I think that's something that you do need that special training for. And so event management and how to manage programs and doing special events and how to design facilities that are going to be used for recreation is totally different than something in an office setting or a business setting. Now, the business background is very important because we are the third largest industry. There is a lot of money at stake, and you do have to take the business approach to it, but I think that's just the lens that you put on it, and the setting is the tourism, the setting is the recreation, the setting is the park. And so understanding how the setting impacts the other things, I think, is the critical part, and that's where we come in. That's where we're professionals. We do what we do, and we have a unique perspective on how to take care of all those things and be fiscally, environmentally, and socially aware and responsible for those types of things.
Does Kentucky have a lot of opportunity in the area of tourism for growth, even though it's already the third largest industry in the state, because of the geographic diversity of the Commonwealth?
Absolutely. Kentucky, this area is within a day's drive of 2/3 of the country, and so we have, with the rising gas prices and people being more conscious about how far they're traveling and how much traveling is costing them, I think that local travel is becoming more and more of an option. So we don't have to fly out to Colorado or out west to see these amazing experiences when we have that stuff in our own backyard that we don't even take advantage of. So I think that the state of Kentucky and the state parks and tourism in general in Kentucky is doing a great job in getting the word out about the local opportunities, but I think we have a long way to go. Because there's so many things to experience and so much diversity. We've got the mountains, and we've got this area with the lakes, and then we've got Western Kentucky that's the caves, and just totally different recreation experiences and opportunities that are, within a couple hours drive of most of the people in Kentucky. And so getting people to experience the different types of opportunities in the state, I think we still have a long way to go because not everybody has done that. So
50 years ago, one of the most popular tourist destinations for Americans was Disney World in Florida. Are theme parks still as popular as they once were, or are they being eclipsed now by adventure tourism and outdoor activities?
Well, I think there's a great deal of difference in that. Typically, when we talk about experiences, we typically think of them as core activities or balance activities. And the core activities are the ones that are relatively low cost, relatively close to where you live, and relatively accessible. And so the balance activities are those types of things that take much more planning to do, much more cost and time involved with it, and are more of the special event types of things. And when we look at how our lives are divided, we've got daily leisure, weekend leisure, annual leisure, which is more of your vacations, and then lifetime leisure, which is your retirement. And I think opportunities look very different in all those aspects. And so when you're looking for experiences and opportunities, the ones that are more local and the ones that are more dependent on the environment and the ones that people have more available access to are those core activities. And those are the things they can do in the evenings after school with their kids, or after work with their spouses or significant others, or things that they can do day trips to on the weekends. On Saturday or Sunday afternoon, they can go to the lake and participate in recreation there. And so I think that as leisure evolves, that those things are becoming increasingly more important. And the trips to Disney World are still important, but they would be more of the annual events, things that people save up for a great deal of time. And planning is involved in that, whereas just going to the lake for the afternoon doesn't take a great deal of planning if you live in this area. And so I think that there's still a place for Disney World and theme parks, but it's not something that you're going to be able to participate in quite frequently. For a family of 4, it's just the time and the cost is just prohibitive of that, but they can find other activities and other experiences that they can participate in on a daily or weekly basis that don't cost a lot of money. And so I think those are the opportunities where adventure tourism and ecotourism and more of the family leisure and recreation come into play.
Assistant Professor of Recreation, Tourism, and Sport Management, Tricia Day, thank you for joining us for Lindsey Wilson Conversations.
Thank you.